Hello. You're listening to What the Fuck Do We Know? I don't watch a lot of talent shows. You know, this Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, Voice, or whatever.
Ukraine Got Talent?
Well, debatable.
What?
I'm kidding.
Ukrainians
yeah, you guys
can
got
dance.
talent. Okay, you've got talent, yes, in Ukraine. You got singers, Alena. She's in Eurovision now and killing it, apparently. I made a joke. I would not joke. It wasn't an intentional joke. So I was talking to a Ukrainian about Alena, and I didn't know. I was saying, like, I didn't know her so much except this YouTube ad that I used to see her on. And apparently she's big in Ukraine. And it was a great... It wasn't intentional at all. But I just said it, and they...
So wait, you didn't see her on the ad?
No, I saw her, but I didn't mean it like... I meant like she's big, like she's popular.
Of course.
And then the person pointed out to me that I had made a joke. Anyway, so on these talent shows, especially Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent, dancers go on there. First of all, I don't think that that's like a talent for talent shows, except it's like really good choreographed dancing. Yes. I'll explain, because like the winner of that show gets like a 1-year residency in Vegas or something. What the fuck are you going to do tomorrow if you're one person dancing? Just like dancing. Okay, I come for your show today. What is happening tomorrow, next week? And
go to another bar? Or like wherever you dance?
Like that? No, the residency. Do you know what a residency?
No.
You get a show in a hotel every night for
really?
several days.
People change.
Like, what are you going to do? But anyway, so some dancers come, and I've watched some videos recently where a fat dancer comes on, and they dance better than me. Yes, but I don't dance that well.
Then you.
Yeah,
You dance well. If
yeah,
you don't,
no, I was fishing for a compliment.
Okay.
Oh my god.
How do I dance?
So these dancers go on. My mother used to say, if you have nothing to say, if you don't have nothing nice to say,
Say it.
That's an interesting thing. I said my mother. I don't think my mother ever said that.
So you just appeal to authority.
I don't know why I said my mother. Oh God! I think it's because usually when people say this expression, they usually say my mother. I don't know.
I listened to someone. I don't remember who, but it was American president, I think, and he had like a speechwriter.
Some American
president. Who the fuck cares who? And the speechwriter brings him a speech, and he refers to like Aristotle or like Plato said like blah blah blah. I'm like, this president's like, Plato? No one knows Plato. Like my granduncle Tom used to say like blah 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 blah.
You sure it's not from a movie?
No, I think
it's probably Biden. And Biden likes
no.
to name
It's
people.
like it's
an
not
older one.
Yeah,
Biden likes to give names of people from like friends and uncles and stuff. Okay, where was I?
Fat people
dancing. Yes, they dance better than me.
I'm not giving you another compliment. Sorry, the fish is gone.
Okay. They dance well, right? And they go on these shows. But here's the thing: is that they dance well, but they don't dance like in a way that is a talent. Now they're dancing and they're moving their body, and it's fine to watch in like a moment. But like everybody can tell that it's not that special. But everybody is like, whoa, oh my God. And they're like clapping. And it's like, oh my God, that was amazing. I didn't expect it. That is pity. That is a pity clap, a pity, like, I don't know, praise or whatever. And I think that is insulting.
Well, when we discussed this topic before this show, and you mentioned this example, and I thought about it more, and I agree that partially it is pity, but I think there is another factor here.
What is it?
I think it's kind of like halo effect. You know what halo effect is?
Yeah, I think.
So when you have, for instance, someone is attractive, but you subconsciously consider them better at something else. Maybe
Yeah.
they're better at work or something. So this is the opposite of that.
No, yeah, but it's still insulting in that.
It's
that
still
opposite.
insulting, yeah.
It's still very
No, but
insulting.
my problem here with is reverse halo effect, whatever,
Mhm.
is that this is a cognitive bias.
Sure.
So you expect someone not to be able to
Yeah.
dance because they're fat
Yeah.
or they're disabled or whatever.
Yeah. Then
But-
you overcompensate.
Yeah, the problem is not that you have a bias because all of us have biases.
Sure.
The problem is that you feed this bias,
Mhm.
you put it on a display, and then you don't stop there. Everyone acts as if it is virtuous. And that you are
Thank you.
virtuous.
Exactly right.
This is the weirdest thing.
It is a weird thing because we all know that you are praising this person because you didn't expect that a fat person could dance. Now a fat person has danced, and we understand that this fat person is not dancing that well. Like, not the fat person is dancing well, but it's not a talent well, you know. It's just dancing well. That's all. Like my dancing, I'm not gonna go on a talent show to dance. I'm not that fucking good of a dancer. But like, because this person is fat, because we have caught ourselves, I think that they catch themselves in this bias. Because we have caught ourselves in this bias, then we decide to go along and pretend that it's not a bias, pretend that we're doing such a great thing, and just feed this. But it's also pitiful and it's insulting to this person, I think. I wouldn't praise this person for it. I'd say like, you dance well, but it's not special. Like,
Mhm.
why is it special?
So
Because you're fat.
I wanna,
It's the same for just like content online. There are a lot of like fat people that post dances, and people always like comment like it's so amazing and stuff. I'm like, okay, they're dancing. Great.
only popular fat people. You didn't
Yeah.
see you didn't see unpopular fat people
Right,
dancing.
exactly. Like, they're dancing, which is great, but like, why are we acting like it's special?
Okay, I want to come back to pity later, but for me, dancing is not a thing. So this is your example.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Oh, I have another example.
I
with
like
PT, yeah.
my dancing is so bad I can't even understand why it's bad. It's.
Mhm.
I mean, I can recognize it's bad,
You
but
don't
like
just-
other people, I don't know
don't have rhythm.
what is good dancing, what is bad dancing.
it's about rhythm. You need to be able to feel the beat.
So my problem is, so I came up with another example, but it is controversial.
Is this a part 2 to our ranting episode?
Maybe.
Go on, what's your
It's controversial.
problem? This is a safe space.
First, we're gonna be banned on YouTube.
No, it's a safe space.
Follow our YouTube.
Subscribe, like, and don't forget to push that notification button. Thank you, guys.
Press a dislike. It promotes shit. I heard it.
Don't dislike.
So kids, first, I don't like when grown-ups behave with kids and like over exaggerate their emotions.
This is not controversial. I'm with you right here.
But this is the beginning. I'm setting
Okay.
foundation.
Okay. Oh, I think you can't get controversial with me and kids. I do not like that.
No, okay. So this is first stage. I don't like that.
Okay.
Second stage, I don't like when people behave that way with people with mental conditions. But then when you put it together, kids with mental conditions and people grown-ups exaggerate and like, oh, wow, you did that. Like,
yeah. No, I agree. It's not that controversial, I think. Well, it might be controversial outside of this space, but for me, it's not. It's not a controversial.
Well, in
opinion.
this space, it's not controversial.
Safe space. Okay. But no, I agree with you. I think it's insulting and it's just dumb.
It is, and like, it's just not real. And
Yeah.
like everyone, I don't know if everyone can
I think
see
like
that.
we
but
understand that this person has limitations. We know this.
yeah,
Why do we want to? Why are we pretending?
yeah, we should destigmatize it.
Yes.
We should accept it.
Exactly. And the
But
way
we shouldn't say, oh, they are
not
perfect.
to
I even
lie.
prefer it to be this way. Are
Exactly.
you fucking kidding me?
No, I know. I agree. It's not the way to to karma for having a shit for having a very okay. The way to destigmatize this is not by
job.
lying to ourselves or people and deceiving ourselves that it's preferable to not having these conditions.
Yes.
And that is ridiculous to me.
And you can
maybe
have fun.
maybe I'm gonna jump on the controversial lane here with a similar thing.
So we are starting my topic of controversial spring.
Well, hearing impaired people.
Okay.
It is an illness,
Agreed.
but there is a trend, and I believe that schools should make it I think schools should make it compulsory to learn sign language, honestly. There may not be that many hearing impaired people, but I think it's necessary to be able to help them. So I think
I
sign
disagree.
language, yeah, it's okay. Sign language, I think, is necessary in schools. I think that institutions should have sign language interpreters all the time. I think that supermarkets should have that. I think that every institution should have it. That being said,
Supermarkets?
yes, I
Are
think
you
so.
serious? It's
Because if
impossible.
a person needs help, how will they ask for help? They have to write it on their phone.
It's not that difficult.
No, let's make. I believe in making the world accessible to everybody.
It's
if
a
we
lot of
can.
money.
I'm fine with spending money on this, honestly. Anyway, but that's not my point. But
Okay.
but I do still think it's an illness. There is a movement to behave like I'm hearing impaired, and I would rather not hear. I understand that you want to destigmatize the idea of being hearing impaired, connected to being like dumb, or connected to being less than smart, because there is that connection in societies. But let's not deceive ourselves that you would rather be hearing impaired than a hearing person. Let's not deceive her. This is where I go like, come on.
I think it's more controversial than my example.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Yeah.
So I think like we know that it's an illness. We know that
What is an illness?
it's a malady. It's a malformity.
Use easier words. What is an
It's-
illness?
It's an abnormality of normal function.
What is abnormality of normal function?
Whatever is more normal, and that is not
normal. How is it defined? More common.
Yeah, of course.
So whatever is not common, that is an illness.
Well, in this situation, it's a physiological defect that causes it to be uncommon.
Okay,
There
so
is
it has
actually-
to cause distress.
There is an actual defect that causes it to be that
No,
way.
but defect
It's
isn't
not
it subjective
just
to
like-
some extent? Well, what is a defect? Like you have red hair is very uncommon,
Yeah, they're
but it's not a
devils.
defect.
I kid.
Currently,
we
it's-
shouldn't go away from our main topic. By the way, we
It's
should
okay.
try
It's
to.
okay. We don't have that
No.
much to say there. No, like illness is just. I think it's controversial. The definition of illness is quite
No, but
controversial,
see, there are many
especially when it
thi-
comes to mental conditions.
No. But hearing is not a mental condition. This is an actual
It's
physiological
a mental
problem.
capacity. I don't know. Isn't it?
What?
Can't you call it a mental capacity?
No, but hearing loss is actually caused because there is a defect that can be seen. It's not just in your head.
Well,
What are you talking about?
Well, you can be seen because you think of it as a defect.
What are you talking about? There is a problem in your ears that can
Oh.
actually be seen physically. What
No,
are
you
talking about?
see it, but the problem it becomes a problem because of your interpretation of it. Because most people do hear, and that's why it is a problem.
No, it's not just that most people do hear. If most people heard, and then you looked at most people's structure of ear, of the structure of their ears, the
Okay.
structure of their vestibular organ, and you don't see any and you see a consistency in this structure, then you see someone with an inconsistency that has a result.
Yes.
That is a defect. It's not just an inconsistency, because some people I have an unusual bone formation in my knees
Okay.
that bring my knees together. It is a defect. There is something
So
there
something that is uncommon is a
inconsistent,
defect.
and it has a result. It's not just a different gait. It's not just a different color of hair. It does have a result, a physiological
Different
result.
hair color is a result. How's it different?
It has a physiological result that is an impairment, actually.
Okay, that's now we have to decide what is an impairment. And then someone who doesn't hear, they say
That's
it's
why
not
we
a
say
problem.
hearing impaired.
Well, you say it.
No, it's not. This is the politically
Yeah,
correct
but-
word now.
Yeah, but it's those people who you mentioned earlier
Who don't see it as an illness.
You're right. Do they say that they're impaired?
It is an
they
apply
don't probably.
to, and which I'm fine with. It's a way to accept your situation, and that's fine by me, honestly. But I think that it is delusional to say you would rather be without hearing than be hearing. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think it's delusional. I agree that that's in most cases, because with this particular example, theoretically you can gain something in other senses. That's why you can stop rolling your
It's
eyes.
not a movie.
But no, seriously, you do gain in other senses. But generally speaking, I do agree that it is. I wouldn't call it a delusion. I would call it a defense mechanism. And I think
It's a
bringing us
delusion?
back to
To
pity,
I was gonna bring us back.
I
to
think that's one of the things that I think pity can lead to is victimization. So I think this is kind of a defense mechanism against victimization, because feeling victimized, especially feeling victimized all the time, it doesn't feel good.
So a defense mechanism by whom?
No, the person who is considered as a victim by the society.
Yeah, no, but how does PT help that person?
No, pity doesn't. In this particular case with hearing impaired people, they're trying to own their condition, not to be seen
I
as
thought you said
victims.
PT helps with
No, pity
victimization.
leads to
Oh, okay.
victimization.
I was thrown off by
It's a complex thought. Let it sink
it's
in.
not. You just don't know how to speak well. Right, but we'll go back to PT, because there's another case that made me think about it, and sensitive.
Controversial.
Not controversial, but sensitive. I don't think it's controversial. I think it's sensitive, because I do think I'm in a controversial position by saying that I think that PT is an insulting thing. I think it's very condescending.
That's what I thought. Like, my first association is that it
is condescending. I think it is condescending.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
But then I went on Wikipedia, and they say there is benevolent pity, and there is contemptuous pity.
Okay.
And like,
what is benevolent pity, please tell me.
Benevolent pity, they say it's related to compared to sympathy, empathy, compassion.
But these are two different things. We have a word for this. We have empathy. Why is it pity? Sympathy.
Well, it's just another word. You know, we can have synonyms. It's not a problem. But just for me, this is not the association I have.
Yeah. I have, and my association with pity is condescension. I'm sorry if it's not accepted by people, but I think that pity is a condescending feeling, because I think pity, it's not about understanding or relating to a person's plight, but it's understanding or observing that person is in a plight that is not your plight.
So let's maybe, can we draw difference? Because I think it's kind of maybe in the same dimension. The sympathy, empathy.
No, it's in the same dimension
pity.
of considering other people's problems.
Between these
problems, with empathy
terms.
With empathy, I believe that empathy comes from being able to relate to be able to see yourself in a person's struggle.
Okay.
That's where empathy is from. Honestly, I really think that there's a problem with empathy and sympathy, because I consider sympathy the ability to understand a person's struggle without acknowledging that you don't have some kind of, like, without being able to connect with it, relate with it, so to speak.
Okay, I agree. So, I would call it also like cognitive empathy.
Yeah, so it's just kind of understanding it without
I feel.
And saying that you are not, like, you don't relate with this problem.
So that you don't relate emotionally,
yes, but you
can understand it analytically.
Yes, you can yes, exactly. And PT, I believe, is seeing
compassion.
Compassion. Interesting. Compassion is just like a feeling of just interesting. I never consider compassion. I don't think I'm compassionate.
I heard someone saying that it's like empathy, but even further.
I think compassion is like, it can be like a group for all of them. Like, I think compassion is the feeling that motivates empathy, so to speak, and sympathy. But PT, I think that what PT is looking at a person's struggle and going, at least I'm not there. I think that's what PT is. It's like looking at a person's struggle and saying, I'm not there. And so they are I think it's consciously, and even people might not say consciously, but I believe that people know what they're doing. And I think it's consciously acknowledging that person is worse off than you.
I don't think people consciously acknowledge that.
I believe that every time I've pitied someone, I have consciously done that. And I don't feel good about it, because I've looked at a person and gone, you're worse off than me.
If people did that, they wouldn't display it.
I think that they will anyway, because it's not considered a negative thing in our society.
But if you think that it's bad,
because the way of
you
displaying
don't display it.
No, I'm not saying that they think it's bad. I think that they're consciously understanding that they are better off than them. I'm not saying that they think it's bad. That's a totally different thing.
Oh, so
they understand that
it's bad.
Yeah, that's another thing. But also, the display of this knowledge in our society is not something that comes off as a bad thing usually. Because if I see someone in a worse condition than me, I would say sorry. That's not a
Your
bad
face
thing.
didn't show it.
No, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but
No, I agree.
but that's not a bad way to express compassion. That's the way
So, like,
people express
sympathy,
compassion.
sorry.
No, but that's the way people like. But that's what my point is, that it's not the way you express it is not like distinctively bad in our society. So it's not something you have to feel bad for. So pity, the expression of pity is not different from the. It's not so different from the expression of sympathy.
Well, that's when I mentioned benevolent pity. When I read about it, they actually didn't mention sympathy. They mentioned empathy, compassion, and like I can go as far as sympathy. I could see it, but
I don't think
empathy,
it's
in the way
empathy.
that we described it,
Yeah.
no, definitely
Maybe
it
we
doesn't
are wrong
have
about
that
what empathy is.
association. I don't know. I feel like I don't think that. I think that's how people see it, honestly. But I agree that it's disrespectful. I think it victimizes people if you go too far with it, and you build kind of a wall between you and other people, and you're kind of setting. It's, I would even say that it's kind of implicit. I don't know how to say it. Like, you set a status. You know that I am there, up there. You're down there, and you keep reinforcing it once you pity a person, and they can't be unequal to you.
Yeah, that's the point, is that you have reduced them. That's the thing. It's you have created a distinction between you and them. And so that's why I don't see it as a positive thing to have, positive thing to feel. But if I may dare, we live in a country with war, right? An active war, and people have lost limbs. Now, I don't know, and tell me if this is pity. If a person has lost their limbs, a child, right? And they get prosthetics or something, they start, physical rehabilitation, and then they begin to walk and begin to walk and begin to walk. And, one day they come to class or whatever, back to school, and everybody's looking, and then they walk in with their prosthetics and they walk normally, and everybody starts clapping for them and stuff. Is that pity, do you think?
I mean, pity is a feeling, right?
Yeah.
So the answer is it depends on what each particular child feels. And I would say that in this particular example, it's not pity. They just feel social pressure because the teacher starts clapping and they start clapping too.
You don't think the children feel some kind of compassion towards this person?
I mean,
also?
do you think they start clapping on their own? Children usually the teacher
let's
starts
not
clapping.
Use children then. Let's use adults. So they go into a place where
then
they're adults.
I still
and the
think it's
adults are
socially they
clapping.
think they're supposed to clap. That's why they clap. In this particular case.
And sometimes people go up to these people and say, "You're so brave."
Not that many people do that.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes, especially sometimes, but like they go and say like, "You're so brave," or "You're doing good," or "Well done," or something like that. These expressions, is it pity?
It depends on the case. I mean, it depends on what the actual person actually feels in the situation, right? We can't really generalize here. We can say maybe like we can generalize, but we can't say that in every specific case that's how it goes.
I don't know if it is encouragement or motivation. This is where I have a little bit of a confusion, because like if someone has gone through a struggle, like has lost their limbs, and they come back into a space and people see that they have lost a limb and they are doing normal things, a lot of people like to commend them for doing normal things, having lost their disability. And I think that in the way that people commend them, it's like, "Well done, you're doing good, you're doing a great job." This is the general way to commend a person, that people do commend these people. And I have a struggle with it, because I don't know in that case if this is pity or this is just like encouragement.
But it's what you feel. And also it's like it's a very...
I personally don't feel the need to commend them.
If you don't, but I can imagine a person
I would
who,
say
who
that
is
I
sincere
feel sorry
about
for them. And it's not about pitying them, it's about sympathy, because I just feel like, oh, you lost your leg,
But
that must be
I
horrible.
can also imagine a person who feels and like, wow, they did something brave, and
Right.
and they're sincere about
But
that.
let's talk about their brave. We're not talking about soldiers, by the way. We're talking about someone. What is the brave action there?
No, okay, I might be a little bit digression,
Okay.
and like I do think that, I mean, I'm sure you agree that different I think we can not applaud to, but what
Applaud.
applaud to different efforts. So for different people, different actions require different effort.
Mhm.
And if like for a healthy person walking does not require any effort, for a person who lost their limbs and
Who went through therapy and stuff.
rehabilitation,
Yeah.
right? That took a lot of effort, and you can say, "Oh, wow, well done," because the effort it took. So
Okay.
it depends on the situation. It's specific to specific cases. Didn't sound well, and you can applaud to effort, not to the outcome, the result. So in that way, you can commend it. But is it pity or not? This is the question of what people feel internally.
I don't know. It's interesting because with this particular one, I've seen a little girl who lost her legs and she was dancing and she wasn't, like, I don't want to say that, but it wasn't
She
great.
wasn't good. Oh, she's a child.
Yeah, but a lot of people were commending her on her dancing. You're doing good, well done, and you're so brave and you're so strong. Strong, I agree. But I was looking at this and I was thinking, is this from, like, what is the intention there? What is in your mind? What are you actually thinking when you're commending? Because I saw this and I thought, oh, cool, she can walk again.
Well, yeah, it's a hard question for me
Yeah.
because I think I feel the same way, or even, well, I just generally don't watch those videos.
I do, because I can.
Oh, you said cool. It didn't sound, it
Well,
definitely didn't
I'm
seem like
supporting
you
her. I'm
cared.
like, yeah, cool, you can walk again.
Yeah, but it's not like really cool. You're like, just, okay, yeah, cool.
But another dimension of this PT we talked about before, about like giving, right? People who go on the street and
okay.
record, right? And
Okay.
just when we talked about people who record, like we talked about giving, right? When people, what do you think it is? When people go out on the street, and not even about recording, those people are, for me, assholes. But when you see someone like on the street, like I give, right? If people ask me for things on the street, I give. And not yesterday, 2 days ago, I was walking in the park, and some guy stopped me and he said, "Some money, please. Some money, please. Some money, please." I was going to walk away, and then I stopped and I thought, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then because I was preparing for this conversation, and I had to like assess like my thinking at that point. Like,
okay.
what was I thinking when I gave him? Did I feel bad for him? Did I feel anything? And I realized I literally felt nothing. He asked me for something, and I thought, it doesn't change much in me to give him this. I have it, and it really wouldn't change much if I give it to him. So I gave him.
Would it change anything if you didn't give him that?
Also, no.
Oh,
That's why I said, why not?
It was like
So my
a low
point,
stake decision.
yeah. No, so my point is that in that moment, I wasn't pitying him, but then it made me think about other people and why they give. Do they pity? Do they feel sympathy? What is it? When
I think
there's a lot of donations around us, like in our life these days, and
in
what
the
is
case
happening?
of like these streets and when someone approaches you, I think in the vast majority of cases you feel social pressure.
You feel? Who is you?
I don't. Well, even I do.
I
Actually.
don't feel social pressure to give. I give literally when I feel like.
I don't know if it's pity, if it's related to the topic, but in Ukraine at least, because of the history of disbalance in gender, there is also this kind of narrative that when people say to a man that, hey, she's like a girl and like women deserve special treatment, basically. And I like when I thought about this topic, like, is that related to pity?
I think it works in here. Well, it's not related to pity, but it relates to what I think is the core of pity, which is condescension. I think that when people say, well, she's a girl, she can't do this, or she's a girl, she doesn't do this, it's condescending to women. And I don't know why, personally, I don't understand why here people and many women stand for this. Because if you consider yourself a feminist, then you don't want to have special treatment.
Exactly. And like, I feel very like uncomfortable because I feel like I'm being sexist, honestly. And because of that, I feel like sometimes I'm trying to overcompensate for that because, I live in a society and I don't want to have like, these, stereotypes affecting me. But, you have to acknowledge that they do have an effect of you because of socialization, right? So I feel like I try to account for that. And then I feel like I'm I might go a bit too far because I'm trying to overcompensate, and when you try to overcompensate, sometimes you go too far.
No, I would say that I still do these things, unfortunately, because it's a social norm. Because I would rather not make.
But is it because you are afraid of judgment, or this is just like you just internally you're used to it, or what is it?
No, it's not that I'm used to it. I'm very conscious of what I'm doing because I understand that there's some spaces where I'm fine doing things that I consider like not normal in society, and I don't really care about judgment. But there are some cases with some people, I shouldn't say just some spaces, but with some people where I do feel like for their sake, I should stick to what is considered normal in society. So with those people, I do keep this thing of like, I'm going to treat a woman as a dainty, like fragile.
Did you say deity?
Dainty.
I don't know this word.
Okay. Fragile.
Okay, guys.
Like a dainty, fragile person. Because I know that it works for that space, and I'm consciously doing it, even if I think it's ridiculous and I think that it is condescending to the woman.
Okay. I also do that if I know that this is what the other person wants. But then like there are usually you meet a new person, you don't know what they want. So that's when you don't feel comfortable doing that as the baseline behavior.
But let's say this. I do think that some things are just kind of unnecessary to mention because they're so small. So I mean, holding a door for a woman, it's a simple thing. It doesn't really make.
It's a simple thing, but it's about symbolism.
Yeah, I understand that, but like so in some cases, I just think like, I'm at the door. So
no, if
I'm not gonna hold it for the man, though. I'm gonna slam
there is
into the
nothing
man's
wrong
face.
with holding the door for anyone.
No, I'm gonna slam into the man's face.
Been there.
Yeah, Yeah, but no, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying sometimes some things are just so like small. I don't think.
But you don't want to argue about it because it feels ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then, like, once you analyze it, right, on
Yeah,
your own,
I think I'm aware of these things. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
aware
but you don't feel like, why am I doing this? And it's, I like being consistent. So, like, why? And then you realize that I'm doing this because of that. And like, I personally, yes, I don't want to have a conversation about it because I don't feel like it's worth it sometimes. But like, I know that this is why it is. And that makes me feel uncomfortable if I know that this is what I prefer to do.
Does it matter that we're talking about women? Does it change anything in you if the woman prefers that she's treated this way? Because I think in your society, most women prefer this treatment,
In my society.
Yeah,
What do you mean my society?
In Ukraine.
Oh, you also live in Ukraine.
I don't consider myself a part of the Ukrainian society, though. We've
I?
talked about this in our episode about loneliness, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
I also don't consider myself. Okay, whatever. So does it bother me? That was the question.
No, I'm saying, does it take anything from you to do it if she says, like, if she prefers this, if the woman does prefer this?
It depends how it is communicated. If it is just something that is
It's expected of you.
Yeah, if it is expected, if this is the baseline, this is just, you're supposed to do it. Yeah, I would say it bothers me because it's just not aligned with my values. If you, again, maybe an example which is very common, like housewives, right? If someone just wants to be a housewife and the man is okay with it, and that's fine. If you want to one person wants to lead, another person wants to follow, and everyone is in agreement, that's fine. My problem is like, with this expectation. Yeah, that like you meet a person, then you say, okay, I like this, you like that, I like being dominant, I like being submissive. That's fine. It's just there shouldn't be any expectations.
Well, I think that here many people already most people have these expectations. Even like most women expect that they will be treated as women. This whole I'm a girl thing. And so I think here it's fine to assume that most of the women you meet want this.
And I feel that makes me sexist.
I understand. I think it is sexist.
So I don't want to assume, yes, okay, well, let's say 80% of women in Ukraine wants to be treated like that, but I can't just assume. I mean, the same way you can't assume that, I don't know, someone is straight just because most people are straight.
homophobe. But
What? That was anti-homophobic thing to
I'm
say.
sorry. Just the word straight is so homophobic.
How is it homophobic? Shut the fuck
Doesn't
up.
matter. Oh, I should point out in the previous episode, I did talk about
A correction? A
pride.
correction?
Yeah, I talked about straight pride, but I don't think that I made it clear that I think it's ridiculous.
Correction.
So I do not support the
Okay.
existence of straight pride.
Another thing.
Well, I want to say
Yeah, go
something
ahead.
about the women thing. I do think that it is condescending. I think it's sexist. But at the end of the day, I think that people expect it from you. And do you?
But
My
shouldn't we
main
fight
thing
it?
is like, honestly, because we are men, I don't know that we have that much in like ability to actually fight it. Because what happens is if you live in a society that where most people accept these roles, if the men start fighting, they just look like assholes.
I agree.
Yeah,
but
but-
that's the price.
Yeah, but the thing is like, yeah, so my question to you is like, are you fine with this person, with a person that you have met who expects this, but you don't assume that they expect it because you want to not assume everybody expects it? Are you fine with that person being offended that you are not chivalrous to them?
What do you mean by fine?
Like, do you accept that person's
Well, I
right to
accept
be
that that's-
offended?
They have a right to. Well,
Would you apologize?
it depends on my intention. Would I feel sorry? No, not. I will not feel sorry.
Okay.
Well, would I apologize? It's gonna depend on the reason.
What if it was, and maybe you don't like to talk about this, but what if it was like in a romantic situation, in terms of an intimate situation, and
Okay.
you want to continue this intimacy with this person
Right. So
because of
if
physical
I
attraction?
want to have sex with them and I have
Yes.
to. Well, if you just want to have sex with them and this
No,
is a
no,
one-time
it's like
thing,
a relationship.
okay, I will.
I
I
said
will.
relationship. Like if you value the relationship, that's my point.
I
And I
don't
use
think
intimate because a lot of people value romantic relationships more
I
than
don't think.
friendships.
Again, if it is agreed on, like we have a conversation.
It's not a conversation that people usually have.
Well,
You would.
I
have
am
this
special.
conversation?
Yes.
Would you have this conversation?
Of course.
Okay.
If it's
Then it's
if this is what the person needs, I'm ready to accommodate needs. I
Mm.
actually prefer it, maybe even. But it's just I don't like it to
Prefer
be.
dominant.
Maybe I prefer to be.
Maybe. That's how a dominant
That's yeah,
person
very
responds-
dominant.
responds to that question.
I
Please
I
stop.
really don't like expectations.
Mm.
This kind of expectations. So
I will not put expectations on you.
thank you. That it's not only about romantic relationships.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
not in one, so it's clear.
But I can of course ignore some things.
Mhm.
And like I don't know. For instance, I can pay on the first date because that's the social norm.
You don't pay for me. Well,
What?
It's not a
I
date. man.
pay for you.
Hey, I'm making you a bad guy on here, so shut up.
So you shouldn't resist.
No.
Just relax. You're being like I
Accept
don't know
your role.
violated.
You're a misogynist, condescending twat.
Good. You just wanted to use that word because you like it.
Yeah, I like the word twat and I
Of
like
course.
the word cunt. Those are two good words.
Two
They
words.
roll off the tongue nicely.
Just roll off the tongue.
I hope you understood my joke.
I hope so. I don't know. I don't know what the joke was. But I want to take a step back
Okay.
and generalize it. And I think about pity. So pity is about some people are less fortunate, right?
yeah.
And pity is about partially acknowledging that someone is less fortunate.
Which is fine.
Exactly. So how do you, and I think you should acknowledge if someone is more fortunate or less fortunate. How do you do that without ending up in pity,
Sympathy.
sympathy, or empathy?
Yes. But no, you can't always empathize with people. I can't say that you can always empathize with everybody. So I don't want to say empathy. But no, yes, sympathy, pity. The first part of pity is you acknowledge that you are better off than someone. That's the first part. Then the task that you have as a person is to not that someone's in a worse situation, but is to not look down on that person. That is when pity is totally kicks in, I think. Is when you acknowledge that you're better off or someone's worse off, but then you also look down on that person. So you condescend on that person's situation because you are better off than that person. It is a challenge for you internally to not be that person who condescends based on the situation, but I don't know how you can achieve it. Be me. Be better.
But like, okay, this is how you should feel, or
Yeah.
rather not feel.
Yeah.
But like, how does it look in the real life situations?
Honestly, it's not easy to like. I feel like so I'm able to say some things I think are PT because I just consider them and I know what I think about them, and I think that most people do think the same thing. But
I don't feel pity.
Yeah, I don't feel pity
I don't
for
feel
people because
empathy either.
I don't feel pity for people because I have trained myself to not
You've
feel
trained
pity for
yourself.
people.
I'm a natural.
But I think that it's not it's not easy to differentiate between pity and sympathy when you see it in action. You have to know what this person is thinking to understand it. But I'm able to tell that the fat person dancing and everybody's clapping is pity because
You have a thing about dancing.
no, I use this example because it's a common thing that people really applaud fat people dancing. And I don't get it. It's like, great, they are dancing. But are we applauding their dancing or are we applauding that they are fat and dancing?
So this is the kind of thing that it's kind of hard to explain with words, but you can
you can sense it because it's like, what are we applauding? They're dancing. That's fine. They can dance. Cool. Is their fatness a thing? But we applaud them, and you notice it. You can sense it from the applauding from the applause that these people are applauding that these people can dance withstanding, notwithstanding. Sorry.
So you just don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
You don't buy it
Because what
What
exactly?
if I saw on discount?
It's not funny.
Well, I said it should be more
It's
fun.
tiring.
I decided to be more
drained me. But you were not funny. You just drained the
fun. Oh, that's my
energy
humor.
out of. Oh my gosh.
You should. Now I feel like you're pitying my sense of humor.
I'm not. I'm telling you, it's bad. I didn't even laugh.
You did.
I did not.
Don't
I
pretend.
sighed like 3 times.
That's what I was going for. That's.
Oh, that's so bad. Honestly, I'm thinking of asking you to leave. I really am seriously considering asking you to leave because I don't think I can move on from that. I'm going to try to compose myself because I'm a professional.
Yeah, professional.
Okay, but no, I think you can sense this, like what people are feeling, and that's the thing. But it's very difficult to like differentiate between pity and sympathy and just like.
Okay, so what do you think these I don't like these that? What are people who express this pity according to your interpretation? What do you think they feel internally? What is your model of their?
Well, I think that let's use my example. I think that they see this person dancing. We already acknowledge they have a bias that this person cannot dance because this person.
Okay, but they're not conscious about it.
This we disagree a little bit there because I already said I think people are conscious about this condescension.
Okay.
But I think that they have this bias. Then the person starts dancing. Okay, let's say they recognize their bias. Then
Let's say it's your way. Let's just say
Okay.
it's your
they
way.
recognize their bias. Then, and then their instinct is to overcompensate. Their instinct is to try to be good.
But in this case, they don't overcompensate. They double down on it.
No, that's the problem, is that in their attempt to try to be good, they double down on their bias. But their mind, I think, is that, I have to check myself on this. And then they double down on their bias because they just, this clapping and this woo, woo, woo is reinforcing the
Wait.
idea that they're not. But I don't think that these people, I think they're conscious of the bias. They get conscious of the bias. But I don't think that they think that their actions are just like doubling down, but they think that their actions are correctional.
I don't see how they can be correctional if they're just doing the same thing but more actively.
Yeah, because people don't know how to behave.
No, I mean, when you try to compensate, like, I don't know, my
No,
example
no.
with women, I try to compensate by treating women stricter. This is compensation because I'm trying to check on myself whether I'm
what
not treating
happens
them.
is they recognize that they expected this person to be bad,
Right.
and this person is not bad. But rather than just go, okay, person is okay, person is not bad, person is just okay, they go, the person's amazing. That's overcompensation. Person, they're just awesome. They're just so good. And the truth is that they're just mediocre at best.
I disagree that it's overcompensation. I call it double downing.
Okay.
You also call it double downing. I think that in most cases, they're not aware of their bias, because whenever people are aware of their bias, they usually try to actually compensate for it, or they don't display it. So I think there is this bias thing, and there is also social norm that you should feel good about this person.
Well, there's a social norm that you shouldn't feel like this person is mediocre.
I think it's fine if you think they're mediocre. Well, okay, I think there is social pressure,
I think
and
there's
that's why
social
they behave,
pressure to not feel like this
and it's
person is
supported by
mediocre.
the society. Like, you get
Yeah,
views,
yeah.
and that's why I think they behave this way.
Yeah. It's like when people, and it's like, well, yeah, beauty is very subjective. So it's impossible that
To
everybody's.
some extent.
No, I think it's impossible that everybody's ugly. Sorry.
Sorry?
Sorry.
Pardon me?
It's a sign that we have to end. I'm drunk. No, I'm not drunk. I'm tipsy. It's not possible
For everyone to be
for
ugly?
anyone to be
Anyone.
objectively ugly.
Yes. But at the same time, we are, I would say, genetically predisposed.
To find some features as more attractive.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. But it's not possible for anyone to be objectively ugly.
Okay, there is
Everyone
no
is
law of
beautiful,
physics that
yes.
says that
Everyone
someone
is
ugly.
beautiful to someone. But when
Hmm.
someone has something kind of wrong with their body or their face, and and then people go on like, oh, you go, girl, you're so hot, you're so attractive. Like, come on, don't do that.
Mhm.
Just, that's very, I think
Okay,
that's
in those
condescending.
cases, I think that people know what they're doing.
I think they know what they're
I
doing.
think it's kind of like
and I think it's
they
very
feel awkward and they just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, it's so condescending. I don't know why you do that. Why do you have to mention it? Like, why do you have to
Yeah.
bring it up?
Yeah. Sometimes also, like, you draw too much attention.
Yes.
That is like, people don't want to be the center of attention. Most people. Some people do like that. But like, with the example that I had with kids with mental disabilities, I think sometimes it also can be some kind of, like, again, defense mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
because again, parents, they can also feel like they're a
Yeah.
victim of circumstances,
Yeah.
right? You hope, I think usually people do hope for a
Don't
healthy
say it.
child.
You did. Oh my gosh.
Well, what you brought up the concept of having a disease, or like
Oh
being
my
subnormal
God,
or
you're
something.
gonna get cancelled so bad.
But
I do not know this person.
you defended this entire thing.
This is our last episode together.
Okay.
Next time you'll hear another voice. It may sound familiar, but
I will change myself.
I've kicked this person out of my life right now. Right now, actually, you might hear another voice, but it's not them. I've
Mhm.
removed them. Getting a
Defense
new friend.
mechanism.
Yes.
Like, for parents too.
Hey,
because-
John.
They don't know my name.
Yeah.
For parents too, it is a traumatizing experience.
Not traumatizing. It is a stressful experience. Why would you say traumatizing? I think it's
I
not
think it is traumatizing.
I don't think trauma is the word to describe. I think it's stressful, and it's good to acknowledge that it is stressful. But I don't think traumatizing is the word.
I would call it traumatizing. Depends on the condition, and then I think it might be like overcompensation, that you don't want to be a victim. You overcompensate and you say, okay, I accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the healthiest way. You accept it. You destigmatize it. You still can enjoy it, like whatever is happening, you can enjoy it. But you go further and you just say, oh, I even prefer this way, or like, oh, you celebrate every step. Why?
I mean,
we don't celebrate every step of a normal person.
Yeah. I do
Normal
think that
person.
people-
Not normal.
you're
Common
just
person.
putting yourself in hot water. I think it's a good place to end.
Yes.
I think a lot of people. I want to say though about like the way people treat people with different illnesses. I think that I treat people better because I don't.
You feel
make
you
it.
treat people better.
Yes, because I don't make the illness a factor in my
Mm-hmm.
my interaction with these people. I really don't. Like if you can't walk, I'll help you. Like with it, like take you down the stairs or something. But I'm not going to make everything like based on this illness. It's ridiculous. If I have a child with some illness, I'll take care of my child. I'll acknowledge that it's stressful. I'll acknowledge that it's hard because it is fucking hard. But I'm not going to pretend like it is the best thing that happened to me. I love my child. And that is the truth. But it is hard to take care of a child with needs, with special needs. It is very hard. And I do have sympathy for these parents who do that.
I have a controversial response to that.
I think we should keep it to
But it's going to be in our next episode
Okay.
about controversial opinions.
Okay. So remember to subscribe and like and follow. I don't know what's the difference between subscribe and follow. We're so bad at
There
this.
is no difference.
Okay, push that notification button.
Donate our non-existent
Patreon.
Patreon.
Bye.